Today is September 9th, 2022, and I am going to call a bubble pop in the near future, probably 12 to 36 months, that's going to be very similar to the junk bonds, mortgages of 2008. It's in sports cards, and it's the financing that's taking place. Now, I brought attention to this in a video I mentioned earlier, but there are just more and more signs. It's so many signs. I mean, I'm not a financial, genius by no means. Like, there's so many signs. It's concerning to me, and I'm curious. I'd love to hear your feedback. I really would like to get a conversation on this because I'm curious. What do we do? Like, it seems like it's too good not to want to play. So let me jump into that, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. But if you haven't already, please comment. I really appreciate the comments. I try to get back to them again. Some of them take time. I won't lie because I want to give you a good response. More importantly, subscribe, and maybe let's get an open dialogue. Let's get maybe a debate going. Here's my really cool editing where I pull up the video I did a week ago on sports card margin calls, driving down prices. And that's basically the idea there is that if you have a portfolio with an auction house, let's say you have $100,000 worth of cards, and you then get a line of credit, say $50,000 of credit, which you've then used, you don't have that $50,000 anymore, and your card value goes down to 50, well, you get a margin call where you have to either pay back the money you owe, or you have to put more equity in to fill that gap. So you've got equity. So you got a call on that margin. Hey, you owe me some money. Okay, so a couple things that I saw in the hobby hotline guys, Go GTS, which I think is one of the most underwatched weekly shows. You really need, if you're in sports cards, I don't care what part of the industry, and you should really watch the show. It's kind of like watching CNN or Fox because it has a biased opinion, but it's still it's news. It's all news. PwC just got another $175 million of capital to specifically to loan to people who have vaults so they can buy more cards or not. Here's the clever part. Because you don't have to necessarily buy cards. If you have a PwC vault, and please, someone can correct me, and I think this is the case with many of them. I think it's with Alt is moved to help with their liquidity issues or their cash flow issues. But if you have cards on hand, I will extend you a cash advance, and you can pull that money down in PayPal or send it to your bank or use it to go to a local store or show to buy a card. Do whatever you want with it. But the problem, guys, is it's all based on the valuations of what's in those vaults, and with all the vault competition. Man, this is what's really interesting. And pricing manipulation. This is a house of cards waiting to fall in. I mean, think about it. Now, why does no one care? Did anybody care about mortgages in 2005, 6, and 7 when anybody got a house? No, because most people went to bed going, well, I'm helping a family get a home that couldn't have gotten a home before. This is a little different. A lot of these guys are getting paid on the transactions. Percentage of the deal. This makes a difference. I set a line of credit, I get a couple points of that deal. He uses the line of credit, I get some points of the deal. This happens, I get points of the deal. It's such a interesting business, let me say. This is also one of those businesses where I look at and say, are you making the hobby a better place, or are you just cashing in on the hobby? And in my opinion, Ziggy's opinion, companies like PwCC, which I've not been a fan of in the past, are simply cashing in on the hobby. They're not making this a better hobby. They're not. And if you think they have, please let me know how they've made the place. They just create a different marketplace where you can try to get as much money as you can for your card, keep in their vault. They're going to you're going to give you a loan. And think about it. That's not good, man. And I think I said earlier, this is like a deal that's too hard to turn down. I talked to somebody about this who explained to me the rates and what they're basically giving you as far as, risk on your return. Like, guys, I'm going to use some assumptions. Let's say I had $100,000 worth of cards, value on Card Ladder, and I sent them into a vault. And then I wanted to use $50,000 to, I don't know, buy a franchise, right? Invest in something else, buy crypto, buy bellwether stocks, whatever I want to do. And then that margin call gets called to me, and that's me go, I don't care, I don't want the cards. And walk away, right? And what happens, PwCC? They auction those cards, right? Right? See where I'm going with this, guys? Look, here's another little piece of evidence of this. Look at this. This is a scene of the advertising going on in New York City around sports cards. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. That's really cool, man. But it's so misleading. It's like, here's what I think about it. It'd be like the lotto industry putting up winners of the Mega Millions. Joe in Kansas won Mega Millions. He got $2,500 million. But you know how many people lost? I mean, that's the sad thing about this. It's such a manipulative. It makes me not feel good type of feeling right now. I'm gonna say this too. Do you think these guys care? No. Sports cards, corn, bacon, mortgages are it's just transactions. They can bundle it up and sell it to you in some type of transaction and make a piece of the pie off that. It's all it's about. It's the American way. But it is not. This is what I'll say. This is why I'll say this is going to lead to an implosion. Okay, this is going to implode. And I'll get to that in a moment. I want to share with you one other quick piece of evidence. Same source, guys. Go GTS. Same video last night. Here's another little piece of the puzzle. You'll hear a story about this Kobe refractor, black label. I think it's a, I think it's one of one in the sense there's only one like this. Pristine. Sold recently for $900,000, but I think originally sold for over $1 million more. And they did, I don't want to misquote it, but you listen to this, over $1 million loss. And everybody's like, oh, why'd they do that? Who does that? Why would they not take the loss? La, 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 la. Hello. Thanks, Groot. Thanks, Groot. That is a flare going on. That is basically saying, Sam, someone got margin called. Someone went through a divorce. And see, I think it's margin call more than divorce. Because if it's divorce, then I say to my ex, hey, honey, we got to sell this asset. I'm going to give you half of it. If it sells for, if it's a $1.5 million asset, you're going to get more. If I auction, if I'm forced to sell, if it's a forced sale, you're going to get less. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. To me, this right here, smoking gun, in my opinion, is a margin call or a forced where someone is over leveraged and they had to do this. Maybe they had a balance. And I think you're going to see more of this. Like in the next 12 months, guys, the market. Look, I don't care how much you love sports cards. I don't tell me anything you want to, but here's the truth. Economics 101, supply and demand. The supply is getting bigger. The demand is getting smaller. You can't force those numbers. Just getting everybody to buy who bought a jersey to buy a sports card does not make collectors. It doesn't make someone who's willing to spend thousands of dollars for those things you're trying to charge more money for. It's not going to change, guys. I've been saying this for a long time. I think I said it a year ago when Fanatics announced the acquisition. They don't know what they're doing. They don't. Okay. They bought this on dreams of taking a business that was growing exponentially, that it's going to continue to grow exponentially when the exponential growth was based on an anomaly. It's the easiest way you can say that. Okay. And there's even an easier way to say that. They think the cakes are good, but they don't know how to make the cakes good for everyone. Does that make more sense? I don't know. That's probably worse. Look, it's going to implode. Fanatics will be spinning off these licenses probably within, I don't know, I've thought like 10 years. Then they need to at least get all the license under one place and then need to suffer for a few years, but it could be faster. Shareholders are not, I don't think Fanatics is public yet, but when that happens, that's going to put more pressure. Guys, what would I tell you if you're listening? I would say enjoy sports cards, have fun. I would not be investing anything that I consider the future in any of these high-end cards unless it's really, really exclusive. And I mean exclusive in the sense I want it to be an autograph. I really do. I think just because it's a one of one, like a Black Finite from 2012 Prism, which is a very rare set. So what? Explain that value in the future. I mean that. I really mean that. I mean, the future is going to be different. We don't know what it's going to hold, but seriously, explain to me, because if you go back to the 80s and some dude came to you and said, well, look, I got this Mickey Mantle. It's a 9.5. It's the only one like it. We would have looked at him then and said, I don't care. There's a lot of them out there. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was the right timing, the right moment. Everything had to come together to make those sales happen. And a few more will continue to happen. But don't get confused. A lot of that, too, is what? It's building equity so you can pump other things. When those bubbles start falling, that's what I'm talking about. House of cards. This thing's going to collapse, and it's going to collapse hard. And a lot of people are going to make a lot of money in the meantime. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It's the truth. A lot of people made a lot of money in the mortgage industry. It's the best example I can give you. Like, comment, subscribe.